by Izzy Martin. And
Izzy Martin right down the middle of the court, and Emma Halter just sort of bailed out there. She's passing the middle, but she's also trying to hug to her left and cover a good bit of court over there for Maddie Skinner.
This is one of the better serving teams Florida has had in recent memory. Singletary pushes it over. Stuckey setting Fitzpatrick, goes to the corner. Nice up by Winnis. Madison Skinner, long on the attack. She was saying there was a touch. It was not called a touch. Jared Elliott getting up off the bench, the Texas head coach, and considering a challenge. And he is in fact going to challenge whether there was a touch on that attack. Jared Elliott has taken this program to 3 NCAA titles.
The original decision is out. Point Florida. Texas is challenging there was a touch.
Right away, when Madison Skinner saw that called out, she signaled it was a touch, a snapping of the fingers. Madison Skinner, Missy, how about 3 national championships as an individual player?
Incredible career. You know, that first national championship as a freshman at Kentucky, and she was actually playing on the right side for that team, and stayed there her sophomore year, and then of course made the move to Texas where she's won back-to-back championships. I think one of the fun things about this matchup, and you're going to get a look at it right here, is our 2 stars play at the pin, but they play at opposite pins. So when you have Skinner swinging from the left pin, you're going to have Martin at the right pin defending her. So we're going to get that one-on-one matchup time and time again today. And here we are early in this match, and it's already under dispute. Did Maddie Skinner get the fingers of Kennedy Martin? That's what they're looking at here. You
know, and strangely enough, you don't see that very often, the 2 best players one-on-one in the sport of volleyball.
Exactly. It's rare, and so it really overloads these 2 even more. We know what an offensive load they're carrying, but now we're saying, by the way, you need to defend the best player on the other team as well. So part of the success today will be managing just the load and the emotional load over the course of this match.
And you can tell how important this match is, that Jared Elliott is challenging after the 3rd point of the match. You get 2 incorrect challenges per match. As long as you win the challenge, you keep it. If we were to get to a 5th set, each team would be awarded an additional challenge, even if they were out of challenges.
Sam, in real time, I have to say I was with Maddie Skinner. I thought there was a touch in real time, but what we've seen on the replay, I'm not sure that there is anything there to overrule what was called on the floor. And that call on the floor becomes very important because you have to have evidence to overturn it.
And they have very good evidence this season. The SEC is using the Hawkeye technology. And this is our look. This is not the Hawkeye technology, but the officials have the real deal over there. And does look like it just slid by without
I think touch. You're right. I initially, when Maddie said touch, I thought, oh yeah, I think there is one. But now that I've seen this, I really don't think so.
Madison Skinner staying loose over there. What a summer it's been for her and her sister Avery, winning a silver medal at the Olympics. As part of Team USA, already over in Europe playing professionally right now.
After review, the call is going to be reversed. There was a touch on Florida. Texas wins the rally and retains the challenge.
So there is the beauty of the Hawkeye technology. Right. He saw the touch, and Jared Elliott looking like a genius right away.
Yeah, exactly. And I think so often you have to trust that gut instinct and the initial reaction of the players. They know best.
And I mean, who has more credibility than Madison Skinner?
Right, right. I think coaches are going to trust her.
Yeah, exactly. So Texas, given that point, you know, you're looking at Emma Halter last year, the elite libero that was in that role for the first time, took them to the national championship after filling in for the legendary Zoe Fleck. And Martin is stuffed on that swing, and the middle blockers for Texas are elite. That was Singletary getting the bulk of that block.
And another example of the Maddie Skinner-Kennedy Martin matchup, that time Skinner getting the best of it.
Tied at 2 here in the opening set. Fitzpatrick is a little off speed, and AC Fitzpatrick gliding through the air and taking some off for the kill.
Fitzpatrick choosing to come back with that last year of eligibility and spend her final season again as a Gator. She and Ellie McKissick both. Mary Wise says it was quite the Christmas present for her when she found out those 2 would be returning. And AC, just such a fun. She and Ellie McKissick, 2 of the funnest players to watch. They play with such energy and such effort throughout the entire match.
Speaking of McKissick, she's serving right now. Wears the different colored jersey, which is the libero in volleyball. They play the back row. And McKissick who can get on some legendary service runs. That time going for a short serve, puts it in the net. McKissick, Mary Wise calls the heart of this team.
I heard Ellie earlier this week talking about the fact that as a libero, she's always defending, and from the service line, it's the one time that she gets to control the game, and she really tries to play with the depth and speed of her serve, and you saw there she was going for the short serve.
Avery Carlson, the other setter for Texas, into serve now. Stuckey with the set in the middle. And the freshman August puts it down.
Well, Sam, this is very familiar to what we saw when Florida came out against Kentucky and started the match off with Stuckey. She was able to get these young middle blockers going offensively right away and establish that middle. It was her connection at the pin with Kennedy Martin that seemed to be hit and miss. So we'll see if they can clean that up.
That is one of the intangibles to look for in this match, is how the middles perform. That was perfect right on the back line by Maddie Skinner.
In this particular rotation, Maddie Skinner is lined up at the right pin, and this can be an issue in some teams who run the 6-2. You have your right side player swinging from the left and your left side player swinging from the right, but as we mentioned earlier, Maddie actually played right side early in her career, so she really helps them in that rotation.
Ella Swindle and Avery Carlson, the two setters for Texas in that 6-2, means they have two setters. Right side attack, that's kept alive by Kennedy Martin. Stuckey settles under it. Martin out of the back row, puts it down.
And as the game of volleyball continues to evolve, this is one of the biggest pieces of the game now. Your ability to attack out of the back row. Kennedy Martin making it look easy. She is elite right down the middle of the court on that BIC, which is the very quick back row attack.
Watch this serve. A.C. Fitzpatrick, one of the best jump topspin serves. Boom. Just missed it. That's the danger. It is high risk, high reward. But it is a sight to see when A.C. Fitzpatrick is ripping aces back there. Fitzpatrick already receiving her degree here from Florida. Working on her master's now. An accomplished musician as well. Kayla Akana into serve. August tools the block on the right side. Winnis couldn't get the block to stay in.
When Florida has Stuckey in the front row playing out of the right side, there is no right side attacker. So it's so valuable to have a middle blocker like August who's really comfortable off 1 foot behind the setter. It allows you to spread the offense from antenna to antenna.
Taylor Parks into serve. She was the other setter we talked about that anchored Florida while Stuckey was out earlier this season. She puts up the set to Martin, and Martin is blocked by Ames. Point Texas. Aiden Ames, the freshman middle blocker, first true freshman to play right away since Chaka Abagu. As Texas has a long history of elite middles, but they usually redshirt first. Kahahawai serving. Martin. Carlson putting up the set to Winnis. She's blocked by Roth. Roth, another freshman middle. And Stuckey and Roth combining on the right side.
That's one of the intangibles, I think you could say, with Alexis Stuckey. She's just such an all-around good volleyball player. When you think of setters, you don't typically think of their ability to block balls, but Alexis Stuckey, one of the best blockers on this Florida team right now. In their win at Oklahoma, Alexis Stuckey, as a setter, scored 9 points. You know, that's unheard of, because typically in order to score a point, you have to kill the ball.
Reagan Rutherford blocked by Alec Roth. And then Canan jumps up in her arms.
And I think we will see a lot of big celebrations off of blocked ball points in this particular matchup, because one thing these two teams have in common is young middle blockers. Florida has never, under Mary Wise, started 2 freshman middle blockers. For Texas, it's a freshman and a sophomore, but a first-time starter in the sophomore. So very young players in the middle.
McKissick keeps that alive for Florida. Here's Kennedy Martin. Winnis over the block. Izzy Martin cuts it sharp and scores for Florida.
It's a really important swing for Florida, not only because they score a point, but because it's a great connection that time between Izzy Martin and Alexis Stuckey out at the pin. That's what they've been searching for. Notice in this particular rotation, Sam, guess who's not on the floor for Texas? Maddie Skinner getting a bit of a breather.
Yeah.
The way they've been doing their substitutions the last couple matches, she's not in all 6 rotations.
And they would like to see that change at some point, right? How does that happen?
Absolutely. They know they need her on the floor. Here she comes back in the front row. You'll see her there in left front now, but they know they need her in the back court because of her back row attack, what she brings them offensively. However, they're serving subs right now. They're trying to get their best servers at the line. And quite honestly, they're giving Maddie Skinner a little bit of a breather, a rotation and a half there where she doesn't have to worry about passing. She's had so much on her plate this year. They're trying to allow her to narrow her focus a little bit with the goal of her jumping right back into 6 rotations. And interestingly, Coach Elliott told me before the match, hey, we did this a couple seasons ago with Logan Eggleston, who ended up being the player of the year that year. But there were a couple matches where we did the same thing with her.
Worked out well for Logan
Yes,
Eggleston
it
and
did.
for Texas. Again, Texas has won the last 2 NCAA championships. Texas in the net, point for Florida. Alec Roth, one of those freshman middles for Florida. Jared Elliott, in his 24th season as the head coach of Texas, has won 3 NCAA titles. He's taken, what's even more impressive to me, Missy, he's taken the team to the regionals every year since 2005. If you compare that to basketball, if you're watching us today, it means they've made at least the Sweet 16 every year since 2005.
Yeah, that's an impressive run, isn't it? I think what's really impressive and what's fun about this matchup is that these are 2 programs who have built success and sustained success.
Right now, Florida up on 2-time defending champion Texas. These 2 were voted 1 and 2 in the SEC preseason poll, but Florida has been off a week, Missy, and they have come out and looked excellent.
And if there's ever a team that needed a week off, it was Florida. You know, they just, with the injuries they've been through, not only do they need recovery time, but realize Alexis Stuckey came back in the gym about the time Kennedy Martin rolled her ankle. So you thought they were going to get a chance to practice together. Alexis is back, then Kennedy's out. Then finally, you know, Kennedy comes back, and they have 3 matches in a row and just no time in the gym to practice. And so this is a team that really needed that week off.
In contrast, Texas, this is their 4th match since September 27th. They will get their week off next week in the way the scheduling works in the SEC. Big swing in the middle by Mariana Singletary. Well, Mary Wise, the all-time leader in match wins among active coaches, over 1,000 wins to her credit, and in history, only 3 other coaches have won more than 1,000. Skinner pushes that over, free ball here for Florida. Fitzpatrick, again, off speed. Second time the off speed has worked.
And that's because AC Fitzpatrick is choosing her spots wisely, and this is great ball control on her part. She sees that Skinner is deep there, opens up just enough court. Look at the disguise. High elbow, looks like she's going to swing, and it's at the last second that you see the tip coming there.
These 2 teams will make you fall in love with volleyball.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
Just the grace and athleticism with which they play and the high volleyball IQ on both sides of the net. Rutherford dug up by Martin. That's too tight to the net. And somehow a gust cleans it up. That is the benefit of having a standing reach of 8 feet tall.
Nice play here at the net by Auguste. Remember, there is no double on second contact. So if you're thinking that was an ugly contact from Stuckey, yeah, it was, but her own team sends it over. And so it does not matter. There is not a double contact on second contact anymore as long as your own teammate sends the ball over the net. What Texas is questioning here is, was Jayla Auguste over the net? They do not think that that ball had broken the plane of the net when Jayla Auguste contacted it. There is no replay for that. That is at the official's discretion, and so we play on.
It is 14-9 Florida. Auguste 6'2", but when she stands with arms held high, she's 8 feet. Halter putting up the set to Skinner, and Skinner goes cross court and nails it.
And you have to wonder if Texas questioning Jayla Auguste's play just moments ago caused her to be hesitant there, because really she should have taken a jump there and either blocked that ball back, or I think she had an opportunity to take a free swing at it. That was a point that Florida just gave away.
So if you're Florida, whose job is it to go over to her and settle her down and not let that get in her head?
You know, I think because of Stuckey's experience, and she's right there next to her before this next play, she just says, hey, you're good. Next ball, and that's exactly what she does. You're good.
I think she's all good now.
I love the fact that as you were just commenting on, Sam, is she a little rattled? Stuckey's going to give her a reason to move on. She's going to give her a perfect set.
August, 4 kills on 5 swings, no errors. Good serve by Kennedy Martin for another ace.
So for Florida, that's going to be 2 aces now. And yes, they do already have 4 errors, but you can expect these teams to go for it from the service line. And that's a direct reflection of the fact that we've mentioned young middle blockers. What they do with aggressive serving is they limit the decision making that those middle blockers have to do.
The serve, such an incredible component in this sport. Florida averages over 2 aces per set. Texas just over 1.5 per set. Skinner last year had 46 aces for the season. She's still trying to find that lethal serve this year. 6 aces so far. Just missed. Oh boy, that was close.
That's a miss you'll live with. She was forcing those Florida players to guess on that one. You know, they were communicating, but there's a little guesswork there as well. That is just inches long.
And that's the beauty, though, of Florida having that seasoned back line with Canaan and McKissick, players that have been wearing a Florida uniform for many years. Here's Canaan serving. Carlson with the back set to Kahawai. Canaan keeps it alive. Martin. And Martin gets the kill. Martin, her first season as a Gator. And what an impact she's made. The 2-time Mountain West Conference Player of the Year at UNLV.
And Mary Wise, a big fist pump, because that is the gray area of the game that we're talking about. The less than perfect. Can Florida be good in that segment of the game? Izzy Martin said, yes, we can.
You know, so many coaches are always searching for how to make their team play better in system. And when you can get a kill when you're out of system, when you're out of your normal run of play, that is such a valuable commodity.
Absolutely. I think for Florida, it's a lot about how they perform out of system. And for Texas, Coach talked to us a lot about the fact, can we play at a high level for a longer period of time? Can we string points together without hurting ourselves, without missing a serve, hitting a ball out of bounds, you know, a net violation, small things that have prevented them from playing well over an extended period of time. That is the push for Texas today.
Nothing small about Jayla Auguste there, number 4 in blue. She's been doing it all over the floor tonight. Auguste has had a fantastic start to this match.
Jayla Auguste is just an absolutely unique talent because of the height above the net that she plays. She can go up and get balls, and you see her speed, how quick she is off the floor, as well as the speed of her arm. A whip of an arm, and right now that connection that she's forming with Stuckey, wow, is that going to be scary in the future?
Auguste was the state runner-up in the high jump in the state of Texas. She's just a fantastic student as well. And what an addition she's been to this program this year as a freshman. She won a couple of gold medals as part of Team USA's U19 national team, and the sky is the limit for that young woman.
For some players, the attack off one foot is absolutely natural, and for others, it's just never really a piece of their arsenal. But for Jayla Auguste, it comes very natural. She just looks so smooth off one foot. Not only are we going to see her slide behind off one foot, but I think we'll start to see her in front off one foot as well. That's how good she is.
Florida up 18-11 here in the opening set, make it 18-12. Remember, this first set goes to 25, win by 2. These two teams, strangely enough, they have not played, Missy, since 2018, even though both of their coaches are friends and they're 2 of the biggest programs in the sport.
Yeah, in our match prep, that was maybe one of the most shocking things I noticed. And part of that is because Texas had got into a 4-year agreement with some other schools, Stanford, and including Stanford and Kentucky, and it prevented them from that out-of-conference match with Florida.
Well, that is another thing that Alexis Stuckey brings as a setter, the ability to attack. So we've talked about her setting, you touched on her blocking, and now we've just seen her attack.
Yeah, Alexis Stuckey at 6'2" just allows across the front row for an attack and a block that they didn't necessarily have with Taylor Parks.
You know, I always want to point out, Alexis Stuckey is one of those athletes that overcame a torn ACL and MCL. And so for all of you young players out there that sustains an injury, there is hope. Now you can fully recover from what used to be devastating injuries with the ACL and the MCL. And Stuckey will rotate back to serve, still wears the brace, but came back almost a year to the day she went out against Wisconsin on this court last year. It's when Florida was in the top 5 in the nation. Swindle with the set and the finish in the middle by Aiden Ames, making it look easy. The National High School Player of the Year last year.
This is a new play for Texas. Look at the height of that ball down the middle. The Florida block was up too early. No one up in the air when that ball was hit. They have purposefully slowed down the ball to the middle because, as we've mentioned, younger middle blockers, making the game a little easier for them. And they've tried to speed up their ball to the pin.
Martin, that is Doug. Nice defense by Akana. Skinner blocked. Alec Roth getting most of that.
Alec Roth, another one of our freshman middle blockers. Here she is, sealing it. And look who's on the right side that time. You got Izzy Martin over there on the right side who does a really nice job of closing the block.
Roth now with 3 blocks. Izzy Martin serving. Halter did a good job to keep that in play. Here's Maddie Skinner. And Skinner, nice creative shot.
We've mentioned the fact that, of course, Stuckey returning from an injury. You have to wonder how she's feeling mobility-wise to make that sort of play. And Maddie Skinner knows exactly who's in the backcourt. I think she chooses her time there to challenge Alexis Stuckey.
Her first start in over a year was against Buffalo. 32 assists, 8 digs, 3 kills, 2 blocks, and an ace. It's one of the best returns from a catastrophic injury I've ever seen. Martin down the line, missed it. Point Texas.
It's a really quality out-of-system swing there by Kennedy Martin. Florida does a good job of hanging it up there at the pin and giving her something that's not just hittable, but really killable. 2 Texas blockers waiting on her. Nothing wrong with that swing, just a little wide.
Texas trying to make a push here. Florida's closing in on the opening set. Overpass, cleaned up by Reagan Rutherford. Rutherford, a national champion at Kentucky, transferring in for grad school this year at Texas. And a timeout on the floor as Texas building a little momentum here right now.
Yeah, and I think they're doing it from the service line. A little bit tougher serving right now from Texas, and what's happening is they're getting Alexis Stuckey on the run. The Florida pass has not been in that big box area where Alexis Stuckey can use her hands. Her mobility, I think, obviously, how much does she trust that knee when she has to go run a ball down? Because we're seeing her when she has to use her platform and run a ball down, she's sent a couple balls over the net. They haven't been able to get a swing out of those. So the challenge, I think, here is to Florida's first contact. Can they keep Alexis Stuckey there in the center of the court where she can use her hands? Because we've seen how dangerous it is when they get her a good pass and she can set the middle.
This little day, Texas and Florida meeting for the first time as members of the SEC. Texas, the 2-time defending national champion. They came out of non-conference play this year 5-3, and people were like, what's wrong with Texas? And then they realized that was their record last year when they came out of non-conference play and they won the national championship. That serve is out.
And Sam, I think that's such a great point you make, because I really respect the fact that I feel like Texas early in the season, they don't put that pressure of being perfect on this team. They really, as a coaching staff, allow this particular group time to grow. We have seen them in 3 different systems, a 5-1 with Ella Swindle, a 5-1 with Avery Carlson, and now they've settled into a 6-2. So they're willing to try some things early in the year to be the very best they can be in December.
Halter setting Skinner. Good up by McKissick. Here's Kennedy Martin. Martin is blocked. 2 Longhorns, Singletary and Skinner, were putting up a wall.
Take another look at it here and see exactly what's happening. Yeah, really nice block setup there by Maddie Skinner. But I think this is where Florida has been working to create that connection with Stuckey and with Kennedy Martin, because they have to have her to be successful.
Ace by Avery Carlson. And that is the first ace of the set for the Longhorns. 8th of the season for Carlson.
Texas has turned it up from the service line here late in set 1.
Texas has won 6 of the last 8 points to get within 3. Going to 25, win by 2 in this set. August out of the middle, just missed it. First hitting error on Jayla August. 4 kills on 6 swings. That was error number 1. But more importantly for Florida, Texas is within 2. Stuckey setting Martin. And Martin blocked again. Kennedy Martin is having trouble on that right side finishing, and Mary Wise and the Gators taking a timeout as Texas has come all the way back to within 1.
This is where I think things can complicate themselves. You have to increase your communication in a situation like this, because when Kennedy Martin is blocked, she feels the need to make an adjustment. And I think Stuckey probably feels the need to make an adjustment. If they both make an adjustment, then it can equal another error after that. So they've got to stay in strong communication as they continue to work through these connection issues.
Well, the Texas block coming up big, and they have been against Kennedy Martin, and Texas lost a lot. Again, Texas has affectionately been known as MBU, Middle Blocker University. They produce some of the best middle blockers in the sport. This year, it has been the loss of O'Neal, Bergmark, Phillips, Swindle, Singletary are returning this year, and then you add in Aiden Ames, the true freshman.
Last year as a team, Texas blocked nearly 3 balls per set. This year they're just over 2 balls per set. So they've lost a point of production there this season, as you see all that they have to make up for in that graphic. But both teams, I think, would be thrilled right now because they each have 3 blocks already in this first set with these young middle blockers. Unfortunately, that could be a reflection of some of the offense we've seen, not the best offense for either of these teams.
So if you're Florida right now, Missy, how are you going to close this set out?
Typically, the answer to that is Kennedy Martin, right? But right now, there's not a lot of confidence there right now in that connection. And so I think with a good pass, they continue to run the middle. The good pass to the middle has been very effective for them today. And if it's not a good pass, that's where you're leaning on players like Izzy Martin and AC Fitzpatrick out of system to make some elite swings.
Texas within 1, deep in the opening set. Stuckey setting that middle, August. The block is too solid though. And Kahahawai puts it down, we're tied at 22.
Kahahawai on the right side now as part of this 6-2. She was not playing early in the season when they only used 1 setter. It was typically Reagan Rutherford on the right side. But Texas said they learned early, we have got to be able to spread the net, and the 6-2 allows for that.
Our first tie since 6-all. Texas has not led in this opening set. Skinner trying to change that. McKissick keeps it alive. This has got to go over. Free ball here for Texas. And a double contact called. Texas takes the lead for the first time in the set at 23-22.
And right now, I'm super impressed with Izzy Martin's passing for Florida. She's been able to cover a lot of space and pass some really good balls, but Florida's got to cash in on some of these good passes.
Florida needs to side out. Texas has won 6 points in a row. Fitzpatrick. Halter. Kahahawai off hands. And Texas suddenly is at set point. Kahahawai giving Texas the set point. The junior from Kalua, Hawaii, who was an incredible player coming out of high school, did not go in the portal, waited for her opportunity, and this year it is paying big dividends for the Longhorns. Stuckey setting Martin. She goes over the block this time. And Kennedy Martin finds a way to get it done. It remains set point Texas, however.
And for Florida, seeing the tip there makes you question the confidence level right now for the swing of Kennedy Martin. However it works, it was a good decision, but you do have to question.
The first set in Gainesville. The Longhorns coming from behind in that set. They finish the set hitting 241. They're up
429, and then across the net, another 429 hitting efficiency, which is rather ironic, and that was actually Kahahawai, who had 3 kills on 7 attempts for also a 429. I think she was a big difference maker in that first set for Texas. There's a good look at her as she starts on the bench. Will come in the 6-2 system and play across the front row for Texas. I think the 6-2 system played very well for Texas in that first set because they weren't stuff blocks at the end of set 1, but Kahahawai and Singletary had some brilliant touch blocks, meaning they slowed down the Gator attack and allowed their defense behind them to transition. Really key moments there late in set 1 where both of those young players stepped in and had really nice plays.
So Jenna Winnes will start us off here in the second set. Texas grabbing the opening set on an 11-2 run to close the set. See if the Gators chomp back. Stuckey putting up that set to a gust, got it on the way down. Rutherford saved it. Skinner plenty of time, and that's like a dunk in basketball. Speaking of dunks, she's not going to miss that.
And that is the Maddie Skinner who we saw close out last season. We haven't seen quite as much of that from her early this year, and Texas really trying to allow her to play herself back into a nice rhythm. And against South Carolina, they felt like she had found her groove.
Skinner, the MVP of the national championship last year. Fitzpatrick slowed down by Ames. It's tight to the net. Texas keeps it in play. Swindle back set to Rutherford, and Rutherford gets the kill.
And you said it, Sam, a slowdown by Texas was the difference that allowed them to transition. And then here we get the quick set to the pin. And Coach told me one of the decision factors for him in their 6-2 as to who would play together had a lot to do with that Ellis Swindle to Rutherford connection. And you see it right there.
A joust at the net. And Texas wins that joust. Now, Texas is still tinkering. They are running the 6-2 predominantly now, but making adjustments. And there are certain players that really benefit from that system. I know we mentioned Kahahawai has benefited. Rutherford has benefited. Skinner just coming off probably her best match against South Carolina earlier this week. Fitzpatrick saved by Winnes.
Another good block touch by Texas.
And AC Fitzpatrick gives the Gators the point.
I like how aggressive AC was there. Leave no doubt about it. If you get an opportunity up at the net, get that ball to the floor.
When she went off speed her first couple of attacks, I couldn't believe it. I had to check the number to make sure it was her. She's usually just so aggressive. Such a dynamic, beautiful player to watch. That's an overpass, and Stuckey cleans that up.
That should be advantage Florida. They have to have that one. As soon as the setter sets that ball over the net like that, Florida needs to be all over it. That's a must-have point.
Stuckey's mom played at Wyoming, was a longtime assistant at Kansas, and then was the associate head coach at Wyoming. Alexis grew up going to Florida volleyball camp from Wyoming. McKissick bumps that over. Both teams trying to get in system here. Ames, wow. Found the opening in that Florida defense.
Yeah, that's just a ball that can't hit the floor. Gotta have that one.
And Ames talking to a longtime assistant, associate head coach Eric Sullivan over there on the Longhorn bench. Both of these head coaches have outstanding staffs. Swindle to Rutherford. Rutherford goes line. Stuckey puts up the set to Izzy Martin. It's in the antenna, but it was Texas that was in the antenna, so the point goes to the Gators.
Florida going very fast to the pin right now. We've seen a quick set both to AC Fitzpatrick and that one to Izzy Martin. I think they're doing everything they can to try to get a ball past this Texas block.
Taylor Parks, one of the best freshman servers in the nation this year. 22 aces. Skinner attacks, hit hands. Roth in the middle, pancake kept alive by Swindle. And that goes out. Everybody loves a good pancake dig though.
Nice work by Kennedy Martin following this one to the side. Let's take another look at the pancake. Ellis Swindle laying out, oh yeah, she's there in plenty of time.
That was a big pancake. Halter setting Skinner, and Skinner crushes it.
high-flying, dynamic, athletic. I don't even have enough words to describe the swing of Maddie Skinner, but she's able to do it on that high out-of-system ball. And we said coming in, this could be the difference maker. Who can handle the gray area well?
7 kills for Skinner. Remember, 38 straight double-digit kill matches for her. Kennedy Martin has never failed to reach double digits for Florida. Skinner has time. That is just on another level.
The height at which she's contacting this ball. And while it's important to go fast to the pins if you're looking to avoid the block, you also have to know what your hitter is comfortable with. And Maddie Skinner needs the ball a little loopier. She doesn't need it loopier. She's just even better with it loopier. You see her ability to go up at a high point and really swing around the block.
Martin hits into the block, tools it, point Florida. So Stuckey will go back to serve for the Gators. Stuckey, the best equestrian volleyball player in the country. She was a 9-time 4-H horse state champion when she was younger. Singletary out of the middle, just missed it. She would love to have that attack again.
They were able to run that set, though, because of the perfect pass from Jenna Winnis. And I just have to point out how impressed I've been with Winnis today.
Yeah.
We mentioned the fact that they don't have Skinner in all 6 rotations. Winnis is in all 6 rotations, and Florida is going after her. Of course, as soon as I say that, I have been so impressed with her. She does finally miss one. She has been absolutely solid in serve receive. And as we see Maddie Skinner's game improve, you have to give a lot of credit to Jenna Winnis, because now she's being asked to do a whole lot. She's taking a lot of balls. She's taking pressure off Skinner, which I think is allowing Skinner to perform better offensively.
Skinner on the swing, and we are now tied. That had been Florida's first lead of the set.
Skinner passing very few balls, though. They're hugging her in serve receive, taking some off of her plate, which means more on Jenna Winnis's plate, and she has handled that pressure beautifully.
The thing I've noticed about Madison Skinner today, she seems like she's having fun. She's smiling a lot out there. A lot of pressure on her coming into the season as the MVP of the national championship last year. Obviously, she has excelled in the NIL space, deals with HEB, Marriott, among others. But now it looks like she is really enjoying her volleyball again, and the results are showing.
It's one thing to get to the top. Boy, it's another thing to sustain, isn't it?
Yeah. Stuckey will track that. Roth is blocked by Singletary.
And Singletary is our veteran in the middle in this match. With all 4 new starters, Singletary is actually the redshirt sophomore. So she has at least spent more time in a collegiate gym practicing at this level. However, if you look at her numbers last year, she played in only 22 sets and had 23 kills.
Yeah, she's kind of followed the model that Texas has had in developing those elite middle blockers, redshirting their freshman year. And Singletary picking up another point for the Longhorns, and Texas has won the last 3 points.
And for Florida, Gabby Essex, who would be starting in the middle, were she healthy, isn't even able to practice right now.
Yeah.
And Florida said, which I've watched from a distance, the way they really rely on the mentor program in their program.
Kahahawai with the block.
And for a team of young middle blockers, you wouldn't know it today. The block is coming alive for Texas.
I want you to go back to the mentor comment, though, Missy,
Yes.
with Florida. They really don't have a mentor at that position.
That's exactly right, because they don't have someone older in their gym playing in the middle with experience. You will see in timeouts Gabby go to these young middles and give them information, but it's just different. She's not in the gym with them right now, being able to perform and practice with them.
It's tight to the net. Good play by Winnis to keep it off. And then it is Texas in the net. Ultimately, point goes to the Gators. So Izzy Martin will go back to serve. She's originally from Germany, came to the U.S., had to play in junior college because of her lack of English speaking ability. And wouldn't you know it, she played at a college here in Florida and was hearing all about the Gators, went to UNLV, and when she went to the portal, Mary Wise contacted her and said, it's been my dream to play for the Florida Gators.
Yeah. There's Singletary again. I feel like we are watching some young middle blockers grow up right before our eyes. What a great performance so far from Singletary today, as well as Ames.
Kayla Yakana in to serve. Serve from Akana, nice receive by Martin. A.C. Fitzpatrick.
One of the few times we haven't seen this Texas block get some hands on the ball, and it's a really nice push by Stuckey. You see the speed, the tempo to the outside pin. Ames not able to close in time, and that finally gave A.C. Fitzpatrick an open net. Florida hasn't had a lot of open net to swing against.
She's only 5'11", and her arm speed is just lightning fast. Halter send it back toward the net. Here's Winnis, pushes it over. McKissick setting Fitzpatrick, blocked into the open court. Kahahawai and Ames were both on the front line.
Kahahawai continues to have herself a day. She's in on 4 blocks now, has 3 kills without an error, and it's just been also all of the block touches we've seen from her that have been so impressive.
Texas out blocking Florida 6-3 right now. Kennedy Martin, a nice up by Kahahawai defensively, and Winnis attacks. Defense leading to offense.
We see that from Maddie Skinner quite a bit, that big rip out of system, and this time that is a really hard ball to swing at if you're Jenna Winnis. I mean, the ball coming over your shoulder off the net. When I talked about who could be good in less than perfect situations, that is a great example of it.
Kahahawai, ace. Everything going Texas's way at the moment. The Longhorns on an 8-2 run, and mostly because of incredible middle blockers on display.
These are some young ones. They've got quite a future ahead of them for all 4 of these young ladies. Ames and Singletary for Texas, Roth and Jayla August for Florida, all 4 first-year starters. 3 of these players were just in high school a season ago, and as Mary Wise said, it's challenging to make the transition from high school to college, but if you're a middle blocker, it's more like a nightmare.
Hawaii with a short serve. Stuckey setting Martin, and Kennedy Martin puts it down on the right side. That's the first kill of the set for Kennedy Martin, who again has never failed to reach at least 10 kills in a match as long as she's been a Florida Gator. She's up to 4 now.
Kahahawai will rotate out now after serving, but that's another new thing with this Texas lineup as they continue to tinker and get the most out of their players. They've unleashed her serve as of late.
Swindle setting Winnis. Stuckey goes into the table to try to save it, and everyone holding their breath when Alexis Stuckey goes into this table.
One-handed little save there at the net by Jenna Winnis, showing some great ball control to drop that right over the block.
Texas up 6 here in the second set in this 3 out of 5 set match. Texas came from behind and took the opening set. These are 2 of the most consistent teams in the history of the sport. Both teams have been in the top 20 in every poll for the last 20 years. Canan into serve now. Serves line at Winnis. Rutherford blocked. Jayla August says not in my house.
Nice setup here by Izzy Martin, and Jayla August is able to close. Just a quick step to her left.
Canan serves it at Halter. Rutherford. And Rutherford sides out for Texas right away. Canan is known for her long service runs for Florida, so that was a good side out for Texas.
We mentioned the fact that Swindle and Rutherford have such a good connection. Swindle goes right back to her, and that time, just enough space in that block because, again, of the speed of the offense for Texas, a concerted effort to go fast to the pins and actually a little slower to the middle. Nothing slow about that swing from Izzy Martin as she's able to split the block. And this is what the tempo of the set will do, how quickly that ball is out to the left pin, and the middle blocker for Texas it's impossible to close with the speed of that attack from the left side, and that gives a hole to the attacker.
Stuckey has assisted on 13 of the 20 kills for Florida. Singletary goes over the block, Park saves it. And Izzy Martin is heating up.
High, hard, and flat from Izzy Martin, and there's been a few of those for Florida. where the Texas block has slowed it down and their backcourt defenders have still been able to play on a really high-quality swing. Izzy Martin gets a little bit more on that one.
Coach Mary Wise says Izzy Martin never has a bad day, just a delightful person to be around. Point Texas.
And there it is again. That was the difference maker last year when Texas made their run to a championship. It was that swing right there. Slightly out of system for Texas. At times looked like their best play because of the arm of Madison Skinner. We're seeing it again today. We've seen it from Jenna Winnes as well.
Well, what an exciting finish to the year last year for Texas, as they caught everyone by surprise defending their national championship. Stuckey attacks again successfully. Second kill for Stuckey. Both swings have resulted in a kill.
Avery Carlson had just served and then making her way back into her defensive position. And so that was great timing on the part of Alexis Stuckey to throw it into right back.
Gators want to avoid being down 2-0. Incredible crowd here on hand today in the building they affectionately call the O-Dome. And there's a nicely placed shot by Singletary out of the middle.
And that's another look at the new 1.5 speed from Texas down the middle, hanging that ball up so that in those out-of-system situations, they don't lose their middle attack. They can still use the middle attack as they come off the net. And it seems as though Florida's just having trouble tracking it. It looks a little different to them as well. And defensively, they haven't picked up some tips on that shot.
Stuckey sends it back to the net. Martin tracks it, hits it in the net. Of the changes that Texas has put in, what are some of the things, when we come back, because we're going to go to break, I want you to think about, Missy, what are some of the things that have surprised you about what they're experimenting with? They're up by several different looks this year, and Missy, I gave you some homework going into the break, so what's been surprising to you about some of the things Texas is trying?
Well, it's in some ways it's the easy answer, but it's also the surprising answer, and that is the fact that they have settled into a 6-2, because Coach Elliott said, it is not my system of choice, but it is the system that's best for this group right now. And we've talked about the fact that Florida's had some setting changes due to injury and players in and out. For Texas, choosing the 6-2 creates some setting changes throughout the match. You know, there's not as many pieces that stay on the floor for all 6 rotations that create that flow and that rhythm throughout the match. But it allows them to be really athletic across the front line. Just like that. You got Singletary in the middle front, next to her Kahawahawai right now, and Jenna Winnes in left front. There's a look at the systems. You're seeing Florida in the 5-1 today, and Texas in that 6-2, which means they will always have 6 hitters in their system. In every rotation, there are 3 hitters across the front row. It allows them to spread their offense.
Kennedy Martin heating up for Florida, and they need the output from Martin right now. And don't you dare try to tell Jared Elliott that you can't win a national championship running a 6-2.
That's right.
That has been sort of the thing that people will say about the 6-2 is, yeah, it can work, but can it win you a title? Well, he's won the last 2 without it. We'll see if he can do it this year. Kahawai having just an outstanding match today for Texas. Again, the junior from Kalua, Hawaii, who was the Gatorade Hawaii Volleyball Player of the Year coming out of high school and has just stayed in Jared Elliott's system, developed, and now in her junior season is shining.
And she is always on the court with Avery Carlson. They subbed in together. So for them, it is just a one-setter, one-hitter connection. They're able to really perfect that.
Martin hit the net, stays in play. Martin again goes power. And Maddie Skinner can't dig that. Another kill for Kennedy Martin. And Martin is growing more and more impactful here as the match progresses.
Boy, Texas is making her earn them, though, aren't they? Did you see the beautiful stick save from Jenna Winnes? After she blocks, she lands, turns around, and still plays that first ball back over the net. And then the dig by Maddie Skinner, literally just a foot too long.
Martin up to 6 kills. McKissick in to serve. Texas 3 points from taking a 2-0 lead, make it 2 points. Texas has won 5 straight matches. Their last loss was to Stanford on September 15th. Florida's going to take a timeout here as Texas trying to get their third straight sweep in SEC play. They've swept LSU, they've swept South Carolina, but we're a long way from that. Florida with
Since Chiaka Obagu did in 2013, and interestingly, Coach Jared Elliott told us, yes, she was a middle blocker, but early that season, she was actually playing in the opposite position for us, which isn't nearly as demanding in terms of learning your blocking responsibilities. So even Chiaka Obagu, the Olympian, wasn't asked to do quite as much as they're asking of Aiden Ames right out of high school.
And obviously they all talk about her composure and maturity, the fact that she stepped into a Texas uniform where you're getting everybody's best shot every match and has excelled as a true freshman. Texas 2 points from a 2-0 lead. Kahawai with the serve. Fitzpatrick kept alive in the back row by Akana. Fitzpatrick, yes! She tagged Akana. Akana couldn't get her arm out of the way, and the point goes to Florida.
The first swing by AC Fitzpatrick was high and hard, and there was just enough of a block deflection for Texas to play it. So you felt like AC Fitzpatrick could put a little something extra on that one, which she did. And as you said, it may have been long, but Akana just couldn't get out of the way.
Florida's put Bella Lee into the match number 21 in blue. She's in the right back position now. That's her getting that dig. Swindle setting Winnis. Overpass cleaned up by Rutherford. Set point Longhorns.
Jenna Winnis started at that point with a perfect pass, finishes it with a kill. We are seeing some all-around great volleyball from Jenna Winnis today.
Winnis, a transfer from Minnesota. Picked to win the SEC. Florida was picked to finish second. And it has been